above. They know better banking means better rates on savings, loans, and mortgages, and being treated like more than a number. At TCU, you don't have to be a teacher to enjoy better banking, just someone who enjoys personal attention and solid financial solutions. Go to tcunet.com/betterbanking to learn more. TCU, better rates, better service, better banking. Teachers Credit Union deposits are federally insured by the NCUA, and we're an equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 686706.
Manage your money like a pro with TCU. You can score big with the TCU Debit MasterCard that gives you cash back on everyday purchases. Plus, you'll win with access to hundreds of free ATMs across Indiana. Check out TCU's starting lineup of services to help you manage your cash and build your savings. Visit TCUnet.com to kick off your better banking experience. See TCU Debit MasterCard terms and conditions for details. Alliance One and Co-op ATMs within Indiana are free. New members are subject to a $7 membership fee and $5 initial share deposit.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Regional Radio Sports Network. We're broadcasting live and in living color from the Gage Gymnasium, high above Mike Lightfoot Court, inside the Y-Camp Athletics Center here in Mishawaka, Indiana. My name is Paul Condry. Glad you could join us here today alongside J.P. Jobert, who's running all the technical aspects of the broadcast here today. Sarah McFarland Hendricks, the Hall of Famer, with me here on the broadcast. We're glad to have her back. Tonight, we go back into the Crossroads League as the 9-12 Lancers, Katie Van Hofwagen, travel from Winona Lake to take on the Bethel University Pilots. Pilots is 7-15, 2-7 in Crossroads League play. Katie's group at 5-5, currently sitting in 5th place in a very, very competitive Crossroads League. We're glad you can join us here as we move on for one of two matches that we have this week. Tomorrow we'll be over at the Student Activity Center for another matchup between Indiana University South Bend and Trinity Christian. So ready to go back-to-back here. Couldn't think of anybody else I'd rather hang out with and do volleyball with, and my broadcast partner here today. And Sarah, first of all, this is a Bethel team certainly has gone through has had its ups and downs throughout the course of the season, but when you look at where they're at right now coming into this particular match, they had that rough stretch where they were playing the top teams in the league, and certainly it's not a difficult situation when you're going toe-to-toe with Marion, Indiana Wesleyan, and Mount Vernon, respectively, because those three teams, respectively, are three of the best 4 teams in the league. And certainly you can make your argument that Mount Vernon certainly is probably equal to that or of the University of St. Francis, which is also receiving votes in the most recent poll. But it's a tough stretch. Katie talked about learning a lot, but I think when you play tough competition, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to go home and cry about it, or you're going to buckle down and you're going to get better. What do you think they did?
Yeah, hopefully they're learning from their losses, and I know Katie was talking about that as well, that we've got to learn from our losses, get better from them, and, they've seen some success. We've seen some games where they've really shined, and I think that's what you're going to see with a young team is those ups and downs, and it's going to be how they react and not get down because, again, they're playing good competition, so they can't get too down knowing that they're hanging with some really great teams. And there's, rays of light in there that they just see glimpses of really great volleyball. They're just not able to sustain it all the time. So that's just going to come with some time and some kids just getting on the court a lot.
Grace leads the all-time series against the Pilots 15-13. Grace in the last 10 meetings, 6 wins and 4 losses. When you look at the Crossroads League right now, Indiana Wesleyan has won 20 straight matches. They are on fire, 9-0 in league play. 20-0 overall. Marion, ranked number 22, is 9-1. We saw them last week, 18-1 overall. They've won 7 straight. Their lone loss was a 3-0 sweep by Indiana Wesleyan. St. Francis right now is at 7-2 in league play, 15-6 overall. They're receiving votes in the most recent poll. Mount Vernon, which is a really, really good volleyball team, they're in 4th place at 6-3 and 17-4 overall. So that elite grouping of 4 can play with anybody in America, and they certainly have proven that over the course. And then you have Grace, a team that's rebuilding at 5-5 and 9-12. And I don't know how you go about replacing the Crossroads League Player of the Year, but that's certainly the task at hand for Katie Van Hofwagen. When you look at what she was able to do with her group, I certainly think that she has got to be really, really excited, and we'll hear from her momentarily. But when you lose the Conference Player of the Year, it's going to have some effect. I would think so, Sarah.
Yeah, you kind of never know because it's been interesting, coaching and playing. Sometimes when you have that team that surrounds themselves around one player, it's amazing how they can come back and you get other people that step up, and sometimes your teams even, play better because you get a more well-rounded group. You get some other players that step up, and you walk into a gym and not everybody knows who the main target is. And so, you're a little harder to play than that team that comes in and goes, okay, we got to stop that one player or at least container to make this game, possible. And that's, to me, one of the best things about volleyball is on any given night, any team can kind of rise up and beat a team that no one expected them to. So
that person I mentioned was Kaylee Teal. She was the Conference Player of the Year. She was also an honorable mention NEI All-American. They also have to replace Marta Bleed, a second-team all-crossroads performer, and Kelsey Zeidema, also a second-team performer. But the big thing for Grace at this stage right now, you're playing without really one of the best freshmen in the league, and that's 5'11" freshman outside hitter Anna Fry, product of Fort Wayne Carroll High School. She's got a concussion, and she has not played. She's only played 44 games of their opportunity of 75, and yet still at this point in time, she's heads and tails ahead in regards to kills over her teammates in just 44 games, 166 kills.
Yeah, that says a lot because, when you look at the stats of the other girls on the team, looks like maybe the next closest is 99, and that player has played in 73 games. So, for her to only be in 44 and get 166 kills, that's a big hole to try and replace.
When we come back after the timeout, let's go one-on-one with Katie Van Hofwagen, the coach of the Lancers, and we'll do that right after this on Regional Radio Sports.
They came from every corner of the country, from small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines, a tough and determined few dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still, they come. Celebrate the history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
College volleyball here today from Bethel University. The Pilots in town to host the Grace Lancers. Katie Van Wagen with us here today. So Katie's with us for her 5th season at Grace. Katie, first of all, let's just talk about the year. You lose the Player of the Year from a year ago and some other graduation losses. But still, after 21 wins last year and a great season, you guys are ripping roaring here this year. So talk about the year thus far.
It's been really encouraging. I think for us it's a building year, but to still be in 5th place during a building year after graduating such big pieces is really just encouraging. Our freshmen are seeing a lot of minutes and getting really good game experience.
Give us an idea what you like about this program 5 years into it. You see some of the other gals in this league trying to get things going and making progress, albeit very, very minuscule moments at a time. What kind of encouraging words could you say to them in the toughest league in the country at this stage?
I would say that it is a very tough league and that our record doesn't always show how competitive our teams are. And I would say that for several of the teams in the Crossroad Leagues, it's not easy scouting against any team. There's never a day where you feel like you get to take a day off, but we're providing quality competition. And I think just remembering what you want your program to look like and stand for, and trust that. We tell our players every day, you have to trust the process and buy into the vision. And we have to remember as coaches that nothing happens immediately overnight. It takes time and it takes years. And again, you have to trust the process that eventually it's going to get to where we want it to be.
At this stage of this season, you guys are 7-1 against teams that you should have beat. Teams with records that are under 500. And that's a good start. Now, you've also been able to knock off a couple teams with winning records, too, so you can see some progress in the big picture of things. So having said that, and approaching today's game with Bethel, who you beat them 3-0 the last time around, did you go back and look at the last film, or did you look at maybe Bethel's last performance? Each coach will go about their training as well as their game planning, different situations. So share yours with me.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of everything. So we're definitely evaluating what beat us in the last time we faced Bethel, how we prepped for them and things we were right about, things we were wrong about, watching several of their most recent matches to just get a better idea of who their personnel is currently on the court, who's playing in what positions. I know they've made a few switches just like we have. So just making sure we're staying up to date. And then honestly, because we're a young team and we've lost pieces, we're really focusing on our own player development and just trying to make sure that we have our best 6 people on the court who are equipped, even though that we're battling through some injuries too. So it's about probably a 50-50 of trying to strategize against the other team and really just focusing on bettering the ball on our half of the court, taking care of it when we have the opportunities to do so.
Since the season started, in what area have you guys improved the most?
I would say this past week our defense has improved greatly. So we've got some really older kids in our DS defensive roles, and they've just been doing great with picking up really good aggressive hits against Huntington and Marion. We just saw several of our defensive players step up. So, and then we're relying on freshmen as our outsides and our pins, and it wasn't something we anticipated going into the year. We thought we'd have another year or so to develop them before they got quality moments on the court. So it's been really encouraging just to see how well they're doing and competing and kind of making a name for themselves so early on.
All right, let's take a look at this Bethel roster from a personnel standpoint, matched up against your personnel. Who concerns you the most in their grouping or their system, and how it's going to match up against your system?
Well, we're definitely always concerned about Peyton Hart. She's great outside for him. She's really crafty, has a lot of different shots that she's able to utilize to keep our defense kind of on their toes. And then we're always worried about their setter. She's super aggressive. She's kind of just challenging to read in that regard, and a huge offensive threat. So we want to make sure that we have a solid block up against those two at all times. So that'll give our offense a chance to score.
Best of luck tonight, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Today's game being sponsored in part by here on Regional Radio Sports by First Source Bank. They proudly support Bethel University students, faculty, staff, and alumni with personal banking services. First Source Bank, a proud supporter of Bethel University Athletics. College volleyball here today from the Gates Gymnasium. The Pilots in action against the Grace Lancers. Joining us now here on the pregame show is Katie Weiss, the coach of the Pilots. Katie, first of all, let's just kind of go back over here, the meat grinder of the schedule that you had after that nice little win streak there. But just talk about playing some great competition and how potentially, when you look at the big picture, it should make you better, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think it does. And honestly, we play in such a great conference. I'm proud to say that we're in the Crossroads League, and we're just such good teams in there that we have, 3 teams that are in the top 25. I mean, 2 that are ranked, 1 that's receiving votes. But yeah, and yet a lot of different things can happen. You could have a team kind of show up and a team not, and you could, have some upsets, and that's what I love about this league.
One thing about it is good teams have a tendency to expose your weaknesses that you can't get when you're practicing against the JV or you're breaking up your team into situations. What kind of weaknesses were exposed in playing the IWUs and the Marions and, of course, the Mount Vernons?
Well, I think we were paired very well with Mount Vernon. We made errors, and so I think that, I guess, if that can be something that's exposed, just that youth of making mistakes in those moments where you've really got to come through with a great shot. But as far as IWU, what I would say they probably exposed is our blocking was awful against IWU. Is just undisciplined, and we weren't closing well. We were giving them too much court, and we couldn't handle that. So I would say defensively that we were weak against IWU.
Let's turn our attention to this Grace team. You played them earlier in the season down there. How much time do you go back and you look at the tape and match up against their athletes? Or do you just say, okay, I'm not even going to worry about it. We're a different team than we were 4 weeks ago?
Yeah, I definitely am not watching the film where we played them last. I'm watching their newest film because, we change so many things so often. And if you're looking back to when we played them, you're probably going to miss something. I mean, we're not even lining up the way that we lined up against them last time. So we're a different team. They're a different team. So I'm always watching the newest film. And then, trying to pair up who I think would be a good blocker against a hitter. Obviously, doing what's right and best for us is our priority, but that comes next is how can we make good matches here?
Okay, so let's talk about the matchups. Who concerns you with this Grace team that obviously a year ago they had the player of the year in the league. Thank goodness she's gone here for your situation, but they still have some pretty good gals on this group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what, Gabby, their opposite, has just been phenomenal at making great shots, and then their outsides are really strong, and then Anna as well, one of their middles. So, I mean, I feel like they have a great offense as a whole, and that's what makes them tough. If they just had one player, it's easier to key into that one player and strategically place your defense and that kind of thing. But when you have several really good players, that's what makes it really tough. And so, yeah, and honestly, I don't know if Anna Frey will be playing or not. But, it's interesting. If you look up the stats, she still has about 100 more swings than the other outsides, and she hasn't played in quite a while because of a bad concussion. So it'll be interesting to know and see if she's playing. If so, that changes things. We'll be looking for that during warm-ups.
All right, final thought. What do you got to do to win?
Well, we need to play tough defense, and a lot of people think just of our actual passers when we say that, but blocking is our first defense, and if our defense is working well tonight, then we have a great shot. If our defense breaks down, we're in trouble. So to win tonight, we got to play tough defense.
Best luck.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more of Bethel Volleyball right after this on Regional Radio Sports. All right, you've had a chance to break down both of those conversations, Sarah. First of all, Katie talks about giving the opponent too much court. I want you to, for the casual fan out there who doesn't know the understanding of that dynamic, can you break that down a little bit more in detail?
Yeah, I love how Katie says, you hear her talking about their defense. So when everyone thinks defense, they only think of the backcourt players. And really the first line of defense is your block. And if your block is not getting to a good place, they're not closing, or they're not just setting up a good block, it means your defense doesn't know where to play behind that block. So, the defense's job is to see where the block is taking away and then get in the spots where they're not so that they can play defense. But if they're the block up front is not putting up a good enough block, or even just stopping where they are, then they don't know where to play defense behind the block. So therefore you're giving away way too much court, and the defense in the back isn't going to know where to go, and so therefore you're leaving way too many holes. And for a good team that can hit the ball, it's just going to be too easy to put the ball away. You
listened to both of the coaches. Did anything enlighten you in regards to how they spoke about their opponent or about their team?
It's just funny. As I was listening to both of them, I thought it was like I had a conversation with them before the game or something, because some of the things we talked about before we even heard their comments, her talking about the Grace coach talking about right now we have to focus on what's going on our side, and Katie talking about her defense, or about how just great this conference is, and that on any given night somebody can take the game away. Part of it is, what team's going to show up. Part of it is who's healthy at this point in the season. And they've got some, big kids that are hurt. And so Bethel's really got to, take advantage of the fact that one of their best players is out. But also when Katie talks about, too, when your best one player is out, now you got to worry about all the other kids. So, just kind of, I guess, on the same wavelength when you're talking about coming into this game.
We're going to take our final timeout. We're going to set the stage for Crossroads League Volleyball today. 7-15 Bethel taking on 9-12 Grace. We'll be right back after this message from our friends at Centier Bank.
Serving Indiana residents since 1985, Centier Bank remains committed to supporting students, schools, and families. Centier Bank is a proud sponsor of the Regional Radio Sports Network Performer of the Week in recognition of outstanding athletes. Visit Centier.com today to view this week's featured athlete. Centier Bank, member FDIC.
All right, welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. We're going to head on down to a guy who I affectionately call the Double K, Keith Kateski, who's the PA voice here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the campus of Bethel University for tonight's contest between the Lancers of Grace College and your Bethel University Pilots. Bethel University welcomes all players, officials, and spectators to today's game. As participants in the NAIA's Champions of Character initiative, we ask each of you to help create a positive, competitive environment by showing respect for one another. On behalf of the Crossroads League and Bethel University, please enjoy tonight's match. This time, will everyone please stand for an opening prayer, followed by the playing of our national anthem. Let's pray. Gracious Lord, we thank you for the gift of this evening. We thank you for safety and travel, for our fans, for our players, coaches, everyone involved, our officials in tonight's game. Father, we pray that you would protect the players tonight as they compete. We pray that they'd be able to give their very best, that they would be able to honor you with excellence in their play. And Father, we pray that together, as athletes, spectators, and workers tonight, we may indeed glorify you in our words, in action, and in the attitudes of our hearts. Lord, thanks for all that you are. Thank you for your presence here tonight. We ask your blessing now upon our time together. In Jesus' name, amen. And now, fans, introducing the players for the visiting Lancers from Grace College, beginning with your non-starters for tonight's match. A 5'10 senior from Xenia, Ohio, number 1, Deborah Mikulski. A 5'11 freshman from Huntertown, Indiana, number 6, Anna Fry. A 5'7 freshman from North Branch, Michigan, number 9, Autumn Deshetsky. A 5'11 freshman from Longwood, Florida, number 10, Corinne Elker. A 5'11 sophomore from Warsaw, Indiana, number 16, Hannah Leach. A 5'8 junior from Warsaw, Indiana, number 17, Caroline Mayer. A 5'10 freshman from Warsaw, Indiana, number 18, Katie Swanson. A 5'2 junior from New Carlisle, Indiana, number 21, Emily Sharp. And your starters for tonight's match, a 5'8 freshman from Avila, Indiana, number 2, Grace Irwin. A 5'10 junior from Goshen, Indiana, number 3, Michaela Bell. A 5'10 junior from Muncie, Indiana, number 5, Gabby Harrington. A 5'11 sophomore from Fort Wayne, Indiana, number 8, Michaela Lockmuller. A 5'7 senior from Huntington, Indiana, number 12, Alexa Hill. And a 5'9 freshman from Deer Creek, Illinois, number 19, J.D. Block. At libero tonight for the Lancers, a 5'4 junior from South Holland, Illinois, number 4, Gina Novotny. Head coach for the Lancers is Katie von Hofwagen, assisted by Sarah Bowman and Mike Alejado. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the players for your Bethel College, Bethel University Pilots. Beginning tonight with your non-starters, a 6'2 freshman from, a 5'5 freshman from Fort Wayne, Indiana, number 2, Kennedy Kins. A 6'2 freshman from Hoagland, Indiana, number 12, Isabel North. A 5'7 junior from Elkhart, Indiana, number 13, Mackenzie Williams. A 5'3 freshman from Bern, Indiana, number 15, Hannah Dahl. A 6'1 senior from Anchorage, Alaska, number 16, AJ McDonald. A 5'9 freshman from Bern, Indiana, number 17, Shaylin Bowman. And a 5'8 sophomore from South Bend, Indiana, number 18, Megan Hozinski. And now your starters for tonight's match for the Pilots, a 5'9 junior from Goshen, Indiana, number 1, Kelsey Rosda. A 5'6 freshman from Valparaiso, Indiana, number 4, Rachel Vendel. A 5'9 junior from Kendallville, Indiana, number 6, Peyton Hart. A 6'0 junior from Valparaiso, Indiana, number 9, Abby Armour. A 6'1 sophomore from Allentown, Pennsylvania, number 10, Madison Beaver. A 5'11 freshman from Kalamazoo, Michigan, number 14, Kelsey Friedema. And at libero tonight for your Pilots, a 5'5 senior from Lexington, Kentucky, number 11, Bridget Downs. Head coach for your Pilots is Katie Weiss, assisted by Lisa DeJesus, Hannah Curtis, and Kristen Mitchell. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll direct your attention to center court, we're ready to get tonight's match underway.
All right, thanks very much to Double K for his great work down there. Officials tonight, Dan Matz from Elkhart. He'll be sitting atop the chair over there. Mark Yeoman will be down here patrolling the scorer's desk. Brenda Overton from South Bend, the line judge, along with Don Creed, a Mishawaka native, with the line judge. Bethel University decked out in the black shorts and jerseys with the blue numbers, nice big numbers. I love it, with the white trim. And, of course, the Grace Lancers decked out with the black shorts, spandex, if you will, with the red jerseys with the white along the side, the solid white numbers with a black trim on those. So we're glad you can join us. Once again, Grace on the right side of your screen, Bethel on the left side of your screen. Glad you can join us. I'm Paul Condry along with J.P. Jobert. Also tonight, the Hall of Famer here. We're glad to have Sarah McFarland Hendricks back in the saddle with us today as we're ready to get underway. Any final thoughts, Sarah?
I'm just excited to see these guys play. Every time I see Bethel, I see an improvement in some area or another. So I think it'll be interesting to see this battle, especially with Grace without that big outside hitter, how they're going to kind of play around that, which they've had some time to adjust to it. So luckily it didn't just happen last night.
Grace has won 4 straight matches against the Pilots. Grace has won 3-0 earlier in the year on the 13th of September. Grace comes in averaging 12.28 in the kills per game. Their opponents at 11.7. Pilots, respectively, averaging 11.03 in the kills and 12.08 for their opponents. As we're ready to get underway, Grace will be serving from right to left. Grace Irwin, a 5'8 freshman with 6 aces on the season, will punch it from the right side, and we are underway here today from Bethel University. And here is Peyton Hart with a nice delivery, and now Bethel comes on the attack. Pass one over here, and this goes right through the hands of Alexa Hill, and the Pilots with an early 1-0 lead.
Pilots have got to continue to control the ball. They are such a better team when they can really run their offense. So controlling that ball is going to be a big factor.
Bridget Downs, who is second on the team in assists, is on the serve. As Grace, fortunate to get that one over the net. Here's Peyton Hart on the far side, and she scores as she deflects it off Gabby Harrington on the far side. 2-0 Bethel.
Grace is leaving that corner wide open. If she can continue hitting down the line, she's going to have a lot of luck tonight.
Downs, the 5'4 senior, serves one over here to the near side, and immediately they're going to call that one. Abby Arnold was over the net, and that'll be a 2-1 score now for the Pilots. Is now coming into serve will be Michaela Bell, who did her prep work at Fairfield High School. 99 kills in 73 games, along with 11 assists, 8 aces, 56 digs, and 47 blocks. Second on the team in that regard. Here's Arnold with a nice dig played here by Bell. Ball deflected to the backcourt, and the Lancers tie it up 2-2. Our first tie of the evening here in game number 1. Once again to serve Bell. The 5'10 junior, high arching serve. Downs over here to the far side. Hart comes cross court, played by Bell. And the Pilots will pick up the point and now have a 3-2 lead.
Both teams right now kind of struggling to keep the ball off the net, and it's going to be hard for either side to be successful if they keep putting the ball too tight to the net.
Fatima checks out of the game now, and Kennedy Kintz, an early look here. The 5'5 freshman has only played in 27 games. Line drive serve back to the net. They're setting up the soft toss over here for Harrington. Now Hart comes back. This one right up the elevator shaft she goes, and then here's a hit here, nicely played by Bridget Downs to keep that one up. And Abby Arnold goes to the deep part of the court and scores, and the Pilots lead 4-2.
Great spot by her, that volleyball IQ we talk about, finding the corners where no one is.
Once again, Kent's on the serve with the right hand. A slight little hop in the serve. Nice job by Kent, sending that one back over. Lancers setting it up here to the right side. Nice block by Arnold, and she has support there from Maddie Beaver, and the Pilots a 5-2 lead early on here in this first game of the match. One thing that we saw in the modest 2-game winning streak by the Pilots against Spring Arbor and Goshen is the fact that they played really, really well at the point of attack at the net.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one slapped home. And the Lancers, off the hit from Gabby Harrington, scored. That makes it 5-3. And now to serve will be Emily Sharp, who prepped here in Mishawaka over at Marion High School. Leads the team with 22 aces. The jump right-handed serve just over the net and on the shoot tops. This one ricochets off the tape, played by Hill. Over to the right side, and this one falls harmlessly to the floor, and the Lancers are within one at 5-4.
Bethel kind of playing a different defense right now. They must have seen something in the scouting report that Grace was doing a lot of tipping, because they're pulling that right back up to get all the tips, which is leaving just 2 defenders in the backcourt. So they really must be relying on their block to take away a lot.
Peyton Hart tries to go long, overshot the mark, and now we're tied at 5-5.
And she's got the right idea. Again, there's no one down that line in the corner if she can get it in the court.
Sharp again to serve. Playing in her 72nd game of the year. Here's the right-handed play by Arnold, and couldn't get it to go. And now the Lancers, their first lead of the night at 6-5 as they've run off 4 unanswered points here. Sharp again. This one played by Kentz. Now to Beaver over here, and it'll be a point for Hart. And now we're deadlocked at 6-6. And once again, Sarah, to solidify your point there, she goes again.
Yep, and you can tell right now Grace is trying to serve a short ball. So they're trying to stop the Pilots from running that fast offense by creating a little havoc in the short court.
Here's the serve by Hart. Played well by Sharp. And now over the right side they go, and this one blocked again by Abby Arnold. 7-6 Pilots. Abby with her second block here in the early moments of the match. A.J. McDonald into the game now for Bethel. Hart serve. Played again by Emily Sharp. Here's a nice one-handed deep court shot to tie up the ball game for Grace, and we're deadlocked 7-7. Coming out of the game for the Lancers will be Grace Irwin, and back onto the floor will be Katie Swanson, a 5'10 freshman from Warsaw High. Here's McDonald. This one way up the elevator shaft it goes, and then the miss hit by Swanson gives the Pilots the lead back at 8-7.
I can definitely tell they've been working with Beaver. That set is getting into a better spot, especially on the outside. In previous games, we had seen it kind of dying towards the net a little bit. She's getting a good job of getting her feet behind the ball and placing it in a nice spot for her hitters.
Hannah Marie Dull checks into the game now to serve for Bethel as Abby Arnold will come out. Here's one played by Kentz. Now to Beaver. Back over here. Dull tries to send one. A diving save by Novotny back here. This one tried to pick it off the shoot tops, did Peyton Hart, couldn't get it, and now we're deadlocked at 8-8. So which team is going to break first here in this tightly contested first game? We've been tied at 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then the fifth tie of the match as Novotny, Ileana Christian High School product, 287 digs on the season. Here's the ball ricocheting, and there'll be a point off the deflection from Alexa Hill, and the Lancers lead at 9-8. And once again to serve will be Gina Novotny. 24 assists, 13 aces on the year. Downs over here to the near side. They go back now to Hart in the middle of the court. This one just missing the mark long by Swanson. And we're deadlocked at, do I say this on the opening night of the NHL season? We're deadlocked at Bobby Hull's, 9-9. As Madison Beaver will serve from the far corner. Stationary serve, played along the back line. Now Grace will come back on the attack now off the hit from Mayer. And she scores, and the Lancers with a 10-9 advantage.
Libero got kind of caught behind another player. Normally in situations like this, if your setter takes the ball, you want your libero to take the second ball. But she got kind of stuck and wasn't able to communicate in time to have someone else take it. Alexa
Hill with the high arching serve. Hart passes up here, and here's McDonald.
Yeah, you got to call net on that one.
And now it's an 11-9 lead. The largest lead for either club has been matched now at 2. Lancers, once again, that high arching serve. Nice job playing on the far side by Fedema to keep it alive. Lancers come back on the attack. Beaver fully extends herself. And then on the back line, they play it again. Here's one at the net. Pilots can't respond quickly. And now it's a 12-9 lead. Is it timeout time for Katie and company?
We're getting close there. That last ball, they were right there on it, but it went off the blocker's hand into the antenna, so it's an out-of-bounds ball.
Alexa Hill again on the serve. Here's Beaver with a pass to McDonald, and she mishit it. And now it's 13-9, and the Pilots, there's that timeout. We'll take a timeout as well. Lancers, a 13-9 lead here in game number 1 of the match. We'll be back with more after this short timeout. And once again, today's game on Regional Radio Sports Network is sponsored by First Source Bank. Forget running to the ATM or mailing a check. Start sending money with Zeal. It's fast, safe, and easy right from your First Source mobile banking app. Repay a friend for coffee easy with Zeal right from your First Source mobile banking app. First Source Bank, your partners from the source with e-student checking. Contact First Source Bank today.
Hi, this is Paul Condry of the Regional Radio Sports Network. That may be my professional title, but did you know that I'm also the son of a U.S. Navy World War II veteran and the proud father of a United States Marine? Let me share with you something very close to my heart. It's called the Semper Fi Fund and its program America's Fund, which provides immediate lifetime support for post-9/11 wounded, critically ill, and injured members of the U.S. Armed Forces, veterans, and their families to ease recovery and transition back home to their communities. The Semper Fi Fund, serving those who preserve our freedom. The basic idea that drives these efforts is simple. For as much as our heroes have sacrificed, they deserve the best care and support available in their hour of need, whenever it may occur.
We're back here with you live from Bethel University. Pilots see if they can respond coming out of the timeout, and they do in like manner. As Fedema comes through after the timeout and scores, that makes it 13-10.
And I can see Coach DeJesus down there pointing at the set going, that's where we need that ball to be. I know Lisa well, and I'm sure she's been working with the setter quite a bit, pointing to her, that's exactly where we need the ball to be.
Rachel Vendel now on the serve. Grace at the net here. A swing and a miss. Katie Swanson doing her best Chicago Cub imitation there. Or shall I say Milwaukee Brewers. And once again, the serve would be the former Valparaiso Viking. Vendel with the service error. Our first one of the evening for either club gives the Lancers a 14-11 advantage. And now Grace will call upon Grace Irwin, 5'8" freshman from East Noble High School. Her high school football team, a pretty good one, ranked number 6 in the state in their respective class under the direction of really one of the neat guys in sports, Luke Amstutz. And here's a kill for the Pilots. And it's now a 14-12.
And it all starts with that pass. You can just tell as soon as Bethel passes the ball, it'd be interesting to see the stat for their side out percentage. When they pass a solid ball, they almost always are putting the ball away.
Here's Bridget Downs angling a serve over here to the near side to Block. Block comes back. This one ricochets. Vendel tried to corral it, couldn't get the job done, and the Lancers now lead 15-12.
You can see on Vendel, she's wearing those, I'm not sure exactly what the exact name is for them, but right on her forearms. That's where she wants the ball to go when she's passing. That's why she's wearing those.
Here's Downs with a pass to Beaver over to the far side. A nice little change of pace play on the changeup for Hart. And now it's 15-13 Lancers. Peyton Hart once again continuing her fine play.
And that's why as a blocker we say to never reach back. Unless you are absolutely sure if you reach back you end up taking the ball away from one of your other players.
Former Fort Wayne Blackhawk standout Kennedy Kitts on the serve. Here's the block kept nicely again by Arnold and Hart on the far side. And the Pilots will inch a little closer. They're now a 1-point trailer at 15-14.
Good call on that one. It just kind of came out of her hands a little sloppy. Got a double on that.
So the Pilots just moments ago were down 4 and cut the lead to 1 as Kentz again with the serve. She goes long. It's played by Irwin. And now they'll just put the ball in play. Kentz sends it up high over to Beaver. And here's Abby Arnold with the play. Over on the right side, they'll try to find the sweet spot, and they do. Jaden Block, Deer Creek High School in Illinois, scores 16-14 Lancers. Emily Sharp Former Marion Knight will check back into the program. And she'll punch it here. Kentz digs it off the shoe tops, and then here is Maddie Beaver with a little redirect. There's one deflected around. Vendel. And that one is going to be a point because I believe Jaden Block was in the net. 16-15, favor of the Lancers. And now coming in to serve will be Peyton Hart. Well, she goes high with that ball, and this time she hit her teammate, Maddie Beaver, right in the noggin. That redirected the ponytail.
Yeah, never mess with the girl's hair.
17-15. Second service error on the Pilots. The Lancers have yet to make a service mistake. Here's the serve, high arching serve. Kintz over here to Beaver, and then McDonald finds a spot. And they got 17-16. Lancers. And now to come in for the Lancers will be Caroline Mayer, a 5'8 junior from Warsaw. She's in the game. As Dull will serve for Bethel. Dull line drive serve. They're going to come right at the Pilots, and they'll score easily. Right in the middle of the zone there is Michaela Lockmuller, another Fort Wayne product. He was an all-freshman Crossroads League performer a year ago. That makes it 18-16 Lancers. Novotny. Slow knuckleball serve. And here's one mishit by Beaver, and that makes it 19-16. Favor of the Lancers.
That short serve, that it's working well for him.
It's Novotny again will serve. And once again, creating all kinds of problems. And here's one kept alive by Beaver at the net. They'll go to the back line. Hart with the pass here to Beaver. Over to McDonald, and she scores. 19-17. Grace. Kintz checks out. Checking back in is Fedema. And that was a well-played possession by the Pilots. As now Maddie Beaver will serve. Madison angles one here to the near side, where Sharp was there to dig it out. And here's a score.
Great play.
Oh, my, they kept it alive. That tremendous effort. Here's McDonald over shooting one. Boy, that's picking yourself off the floor when you're down. What a sensational play to keep that alive.
Yeah, that's right. You always got to go for the ball. You never know when you're going to just pop that ball back up.
As Alexa Hill will come on to serve. She was a first-team Crossroads League performer a year ago. Hart over to Beaver. This one hammered home by Fedema. And now it's a 20-18 Lancer advantage. As Rachel Vendel will check back in. Sarah and I will be doing volleyball tomorrow over in South Bend at IU South Bend Student Activity Center. Here's a pass push forward, and now Beaver over now to Peyton Hart. Hart, nice play on the back line by Novotny. This one sent home. Well played at the net by the Grace Lancers, Katie Swanson. Pilots just didn't form a wall there, Coach.
Yeah, that's where they're talking about. They're not pressing over. I tell players press to the back wall, press to the end line. It doesn't matter where the ball is. You got to look at where the hitter's shoulder is and then penetrate across the net. Otherwise, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Grace Irwin on the serve. They're going to come right back here, and this one missing the mark on the opportunity by Grusdorf. And it's now 22-18 and a timeout. Katie Weiss and the Bethel University Pilots. We'll be back with more of college volleyball right after this on Regional Radio Sports.
Manage your money like a pro with TCU. You can score big with the TCU Debit MasterCard that gives you cash back on everyday purchases. Plus, you'll win with access to hundreds of free ATMs across Indiana. Check out TCU's starting lineup of services to help you manage your cash and build your savings. Visit TCUnet.com to kick off your better banking experience. See TCU Debit MasterCard terms and conditions for details. Alliance One and Co-op ATMs within Indiana are free. New members are subject to a $7 membership fee and $5 initial share deposit.
When your child's in the hospital, the last thing you want to do is to leave their bedside.
If we had to leave the hospital at any time, it would have drove us nuts. The family room was definitely a blessing for us. We needed to be close to our daughter, and it gave us exactly what we needed at that time.
Make a difference in the life of a family when they need it most. Give to the Ronald McDonald House at Memorial Children's Hospital in South Bend. Donate to our new house at loveshinethrough.org.
Looking back here on Regional Radio Sports, Paul County, Sarah McFarland Hendricks. On the opening night of the National Hockey League season, JP and I got the DVRs all set up as the Pilots score as Kelsey Grubstoff scores coming out of that timeout, 22-19. The Ottawa Senators off to a 1-0 lead against the Maple Leafs tonight, just underway in the first. Up in Toronto, many people feel that a hockey capital of the planet. Maybe disagree with that. Here's the score by the Lancers coming out. Make it a 23-19 dangerous moment for the Pilots. As now to serve will be Michaela Bell. Bell with 99 kills, 11 assists, 8 aces, and 56 digs to go on with her 47 blocks. Second on the team in blocks coming into today's Crossroads League match. They come over to the near side. Here is the Pilots back on the attack now. Beaver, far side, Hart. Oh, she changes direction, and with the changeup, she scores. That makes it 23-20.
That ball has gone down every time they've done it. Great play.
And now, once again, Kennedy Kentz will come in to serve. Kent's playing in her 28th game of the season. She goes to the back line where it's played there by Irwin. And this one hammered home by Lockmuller. And now the Lancers, with a 24-20 advantage, will be serving for game one of the match. Now the person of Emily Sharp will be the person running the attack. Angles went over here to the near side. Kintz passes here to Bieber to the far side. Hart scores. And just like that, the Pilots stave off elimination here in this one. And one more opportunity is Peyton Hart appropriately will be the gal who will serve. Peyton punches one just over the tape. Dug off the shoot top spine of Otney. Hart over the near side to Beaver. Abby Arnold with a nice play. Nice job on the return. McDonald's scores. Pilots once again getting themselves off the bootstraps and closing it to 24-22. And a timeout on the floor. First Source Bank is excited about hiring Bethel students and alumni too. Check out our partners from the First at www.firstsource.com. First Source Bank, proud supporter, Bethel University Athletics. And we also want to thank our friends at the Gates Automotive Group. Gates Chevy World, Gates Toyota. And, of course, check out the Gates of Granger. All right, Sarah, where are we at now here? 24-22. Timeout by Grace. What is head coach Katie Van Hofwegen talking to her squad about?
You know, if I'm her, I'm thinking we've got to close the door, okay? We can't stand around and wait for them to make a mistake or for someone else to do it. It's going to take 1 point. Someone's got to step up, pass the ball, put the ball away, move on to the next game. Wait for the other team to give it to you. It's not going to happen.
And now to serve again will be Peyton Hart. Peyton in the middle of the floor. She does have one service error mistake in this game. Here is a score for the Pilots on the two-hand dunk at the net between Arnold and Beaver. And just like that, Bethel has staved off elimination now. 3 consecutive points, and Peyton to serve again. This one, they go into the net, and this one hammered home. No question about that is Michaela Lockmuller with an exclamation point to win game number 1 of the match. Final score here in the first game of the match, Lancers 25, Pilots 23. We'll be back with some stats, some analysis from Coach right after this on the Regional Radio Sports Network.
They came from every corner of the country, from small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines, a tough and determined few dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still, they come. Celebrate the history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Serving Indiana residents since 1985, Centier Bank remains committed to supporting students, schools, and families. Centier Bank is a proud sponsor of the Regional Radio Sports Network Performer of the Week in recognition of outstanding athletes. Visit Centier.com today to view this week's featured athlete. Centier Bank, member FDIC. Hi, this is Paul Condry of the Regional Radio Sports Network. That may be my professional title, but did you know that I'm also the son of a U.S. Navy World War II veteran and the proud father of a United States Marine? Let me share with you something very close to my heart. It's called the Semper Fi Fund and its program America's Fund, which provides immediate lifetime support for post-9/11 wounded, critically ill, and injured members of the U.S. Armed Forces, veterans, and their families to ease recovery and transition back home to their communities. The Semper Fi Fund, serving those who preserve our freedom.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. I'm Paul Condry, along with Sarah McFarland Hendricks, the All-American with us here today. Coach, you've got the stats there. Break them down. What jumps off that page for you?
You know, when you're talking about a couple points, you know, the errors make a difference. And when you're talking, you know, that game was 25-23, that's just a couple point difference. So what was the difference? Both teams had, you know, kills about the same, 15-16. Neither team had an outstanding hitting percentage, with Grace hitting 250 and Bethel hitting 200. But when we look at errors, total attack errors, Grace only had 6, Bethel had 8. Bethel also had 2 service errors, whereas Grace had 0. So, you know, there's enough points right there for Bethel to take that game when you're only a couple points away. So you got to kind of go back and think, okay, why are we making those errors? Are we trying to take swings when we shouldn't take swings? When the ball is off, am I trying to just take my normal swing, or should I stop and just try to get the ball back in the court so we can reset ourselves and start the play again? Oftentimes players, you know, the ball's not where they want it to be, and they try to take the same swing they would take with a good set, and it's just not going to go the way that they want it to go.
You talk about numbers. I'm a big numbers guy. Bethel University record against teams with above 500 are 0-11. Grace with record against teams below 500 are 7-1. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays itself out. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah. And if I'm Grace, I'm going to want to continue to do that short serve, because that really gave the Pilots some trouble. You know, they may want to start dedicating even someone in the front row to take those short balls so that they can stay in their offense if they want to.
Pilots on the right side of your screen. The Lancers on the left side of your screen, decked out in the red jerseys. Pilots once again with the black jerseys. And the Pilots are on the attack here. Scoring the point right from the get-go was Fedema for Bethel. And the Pilots, as they did in game number 1 of the match, lead 1-0. Madison Beaver to serve for the Bethel over here along the near corner. Stationary serve. She angles one to the far side. Trouble for block to keep that one alive. And she comes right back at it. And we're exactly where we were in game number 1. Pilots with an early 2-0 lead. And hoping to get things going here will be Pennsylvania native Madison Beaver. Maddie from that far corner again. Stationary right-handed serve. And
they're calling an out of rotation. Usually when they're calling that, they're lined up incorrectly. You got to look at who you're in front of, who you're behind, and make sure that you're not crossing in front of somebody so that you're causing a disturbance, basically.
3-0 in favor of the Pilots. As the Pilots off to a good start here in the second game. And they got a call up.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it was. The net was definitely moving, and it wasn't the ball. So I feel like it was a little bit of a late call, but one you almost got to make when the net's moving that much.
Kelsey Grosdorff was the guilty party for whatever reason. And now it's a serve will be Michaela Bell. Here's McDonald with the nice little toss here. Coming back the other way now. Hart over to Beaver and back to McDonald. Picked up off the shoe tops. They'll come back here. This one blocked straight up the elevator shaft. Fedema to Beaver, and this one's kept nicely alive by Alexa Hill. And once again, Lancers tough up front. Jaden Block scores the point. Lancers within 1 at 3-2.
Bethel's been very vulnerable in the middle of that court, which I could see Katie yelling they shouldn't be because they've got somebody up there dedicated to that tip ball.
Here is a kill for Kelsey Grusdaw, the Goshen High School product. That gives the Pilots a 4-2 advantage. And now coming in for the first time tonight will be 5'7" junior Mackenzie Williams, former Elkhart Memorial standout. She sends one to the back line. And this one just hammered home by Michaela Lockmuller. And you can see why she's a freshman Crossroads League performer last year. 4-3 in favor of the home team. Once again, that serve. This one ricochets off of Williams, and now we're tied 4-4. Once again, the Pilots out of the gates good with a 3-0 lead. But here we are tied at 4-4. Sharp on the serve, and this one to the net it goes. Nice job at the net by Hill. Beaver over here to the right side. Fedema spins one and scores. Nice play here to give the Pilots a 5-4 lead. And Bridget Downs to serve. Bridget wearing that white Librero jersey. Angles one here to the near sideline where it's played by Emily Sharp. There's a pass over here. Once again, Lancers on the athletic play by Jaden Block. I like her a lot. That makes it 5-5.
Yeah, and I think that's the middle of the court that Katie was talking about where they're giving away too much court. So if the block isn't going to take the middle of the court away, they're going to have to make an adjustment on their defense to take that away.
So talk about that adjustment. What kind of adjustment do you make if you're the Pilots?
Right now they're kind of playing a rotational defense where the middle back is rotating to the right, and they're almost splitting the court, bringing right back up to take the tip. Right now that ball's been going down more in the middle of the court, so they could stay in a straight-up defense and leave everybody right where they are and have everybody just play defense in front of them.
Kennedy Kintz on the serve as the Pilots scored that last point. It's Caroline Mayers in the game now for the Lancers. Here's a pass to the far side as this one missed time by Katie Swanson, and now the Pilots with a 7-5 advantage. Bethel's largest lead in this particular game was 3. On the back line now, Sharp. Oh, hammered. Nicely played. At least it appeared it was initially by Bridget Downs. And that's 7-6.
And that's why Grace is going to need to control the ball as well as they can, because when they can get the ball to that middle, she's putting it away, I would say, 95% of the time right now. I'd have to check her stats, but she's got a great hitting percentage, I would guess.
Novotny comes to the far side. Kintz with the pass to Beaver. Now to Arnold. Oh, nice block by the Lancers. It kept alive by Michaela Bell. This one hit, and nice block again by Beaver and Arnold. This one ricochets Bridget Downs, and the Lancers have tied it up at 7-up.
And I see coaches looking at each other. I think they're trying to decide what best defense is here because they're moving Libero over to the line to take that ball away, and it's not being taken away.
There's a pass here by Hart. The running shot that was tipped off the hands of one of the Lancers. I thought Emily Sharp touched it.
Yeah, she did.
And that will be a change on the scoreboard over here, and that should be a Pilot 8-7 advantage. And they're going to change it on the scoreboard or not. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a mistake.
And now the Lancers, at least according to the...
Yeah, it should be 8-8 right now.
9-7 according to the scoreboard. Now the question I have, do you have an assistant coach on something like that here? Is Arnold trying to come across the way here and Now it's 10 to 7.
Usually you have an assistant coach or someone who's doing stats there. It's also taking place at the score. Or a lot of times coaches will travel with someone who does the book as well so that they have the score. I see him pointing that the score is not correct. You keep a book was what we call it on the sidelines where they're doing, it's kind of hard to explain, but our version of not just stats, but the back and forth of who comes in and out as far as subs, libero, that kind of stuff. So it's always kept track of. So the score shouldn't be wrong. It should match what the book is saying.
10-8 our score. Make it now 10-9 as the Pilots close within 1. I think we're up to speed now on the score. JP saying no, we're not. What should it be?
10-10.
10-10? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Here's Dull's serve. Played on the back line by Caroline Mayer. This one went way up the elevator shaft. Well, that's going to bring down some precipitation there. Over here on the near side. And now we're tied 10-10 on the scoreboard. The official down here conferring with everybody, so I guess we're tied 10-10. Last time we were tied was at 7. Mayer played that first ball initially. Dull with the keeper. Over on the right side. Coming across the way, and Alexa Hill digs it off the shoe tops. Hart to Beaver. McDonald scores down the near sideline, and the Pilots, who just moments ago were trailing by 3, now have a 11-10 lead, and they ran off 4 straight. Hannah Marie Dahl, line drive serve, played on the back line by Mayer. A nice diving play by Hart to keep it alive. Hart immediately comes right back after it. There's a pass to the far side. This one scoring off the big hit from Katie Swanson. She is only a freshman, Coach. She's going to be a good one.
Yeah, right now she's just struggling with consistency. 1 minute it's a great kill, the next it's a miss hit, and that's kind of a typical freshman. I'm guessing that when Coach was talking about some freshmen getting some playing time that they didn't necessarily expect to get it right away, and she's doing great with it.
Grace Irwin on the serve for the Lancers. Here's one going to the far corner on the redirect. It's Madison Beaver scoring the point for the Pilots, and that makes it 12-11 Bethel University. As Kentz checks back out and back into the game will be Kelsey Fenneman. And now Beaver's going to angle over here on the near side to serve. We have not seen her serve on the left side as she'll go cross court where it's picked up by Novotny. Hart tries to keep it alive, but they run out of real estate, and we're tied 12-12. Michaela Bell, 47 blocks, 56 digs, 11 assists, and 99 kills to start today. Here's one hammered home by the Pilots at the... Nope, they're going to say that was...
It actually fell in front of the blocker. Looked like it went across the net, but it didn't. It actually fell in front of McDonald.
13-12 in favor of the folks from Winona Lake.
Oh.
And that will be a mistake by Beaver there, and that makes it 14-12. And now to serve again for GC will be Michaela Bell. Michaela at the stationary right-hand serve. Hart passes to Beaver over the near side, and this one mishit off the hand of the freshman Kelsey Fetterman. And the Pilots find themselves down 15-12 now. In case you're just joining us, tightly contested affair in game number 1, won by Grace 25-23 as the Pilots score off the A.J. McDonald.
And it should be 15-13 now.
Okay, so what do we...
We should be at 15-13.
But the scoreboard says 14-13. Make that now 15-13. We can only do what we can do up here.
Yeah.
So 15-13 again to serve will be Sharp. Downs passes up here to the near side. Nicely played by Grace Irwin. Kept it alive. And then the roundhouse right in the middle by Michaela Lockmuller. Only a sophomore. She scores. And that makes it 16-13 in favor of the Lancers. And Katie Weiss wants to take a timeout. We'll take a stoppage of play. Once again, glad you can join us here for college volleyball. First Source Bank is excited about hiring Bethel students and alumni too. Check out your partners from the First at www.firstsource.com. First Source Bank, proud supporters, BU Athletics. Also want to thank our friends at the Gates Automotive Group, Gates Chevy World, Gates Toyota, Gates Ireland Road, Gates Downtown, and of course the Gates of Granger. As we continue on with our coverage of college
Discover
volleyball.
Better Banking at Teachers Credit Union. More than 300,000 already have. They know better banking means better rates on savings, loans, and mortgages, and being treated like more than a number. At TCU, you don't have to be a teacher to enjoy better banking, just someone who enjoys personal attention and solid financial solutions. Go to tcunet.com/betterbanking to learn more. TCU, better rates, better service, better banking. Teachers Credit Union deposits are federally insured by the NCUA, and we're an equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 686706.
Paul Condry along with Sarah McFarland Hendricks under the watchful eye of my favorite hockey guy, Jean-Paul Jobert. Glad he could be here with us tonight. He'll be with us again tomorrow, direct in traffic. As he'll also be with Sarah on Friday, I believe. As the Grace Lancers with a 16-13 lead are on the attack, and they score right there, and it's now 17-13. Pivotal point of the game now, Sarah, because the Pilots did not score coming out of that timeout. Now it's a 4-point lead, the largest of the second game for the visitors from Winona Lake.
This is where we see the Pilots struggle a little bit. The first 10 points of the game, they are just on it, and then that middle of the game, they kind of start to struggle.
Here's the ball kept nicely alive by Beaver. Over here, Hart. They've kept Peyton Hart, I think, for the most part, pretty much at bay here today.
Yeah.
And here's Peyton coming over here, and there she is
right
there. As soon as I say that, she answers the bell.
If you look at her chart where she's hitting, though, the 3 balls she's hit down the line have all been kills, and when she's had to go cross court, they've dug her very easily.
17-14. Here's Downs sending one out, and nearly handcuffed Grace Irwin on the back line. And then this one hammered home. Lancers lead at 18-14. Don't forget to join us on Thursday night on 91.1 FM The Globe. Matt Copsey and Mike Flesham will be talking high school football with Mike Davidson of Mishawaka Marion High School. And that is the first service error for the Lancers today, making it 18-15. Also joining us will be Will Hostrauser out of Beef O'Brady's from 6 to 7 Eastern Time on 91.1 FM The Globe. Kennedy Kent's to serve. She goes along the far sideline, and Novotny was there with the pickup. This one to the back line. Diving play kept nicely alive by Emily Sharp. Over on the near side, Mackenzie Williams tries to track it down. Can't get the job done. 19-15. We've seen the Lancers a couple times tonight, Sarah, just absolutely create chicken salad out of chicken. You know what I mean?
Yep. And I'd like to see Beaver go up like she's going to set and then tip the ball. When she's just turning and pushing it over, it's going to be too easy of a ball for them to figure out.
Here's one played along the back line by Sharp again. This one just going long.
Got the touch, though. Looked like it went off the blocker's hands.
Oh, my. Yep. 20-15. Pilots in trouble here in game 2. Already trailing 25-23. And Katie's going to take another timeout. Her club on the ropes here. We'll be right back with more Bethel University Sports right here on the Regional Radio Sports Network.
Manage your money like a pro with TCU. You can score big with the TCU Debit MasterCard that gives you cash back on everyday purchases. Plus, you'll win with access to hundreds of free ATMs across Indiana. Check out TCU's starting lineup of services to help you manage your cash and build your savings. Visit TCUnet.com to kick off your better banking experience. See TCU Debit MasterCard terms and conditions for details. Alliance 1 and co-op ATMs within Indiana are free. New members are subject to a $7 membership fee and $5 initial share deposit.
Paul Condry along with Sarah McFarland Hendricks and JP Jobert here today. All right, Sarah, 20-15, pivotal point of the game here for the home team. Is there a possibility they can rally here
I mean, definitely. In, rally scoring games, the game is not over until the 25 is hit. But this is where, I kind of mentioned earlier, I feel like that Bethel kind of loses its mojo a little bit. If the game was to 10, they'd be winning a lot more games. But it's when the 10 to 20 point where they tend to kind of lose what their focus is and what they're doing, which, again, is another indicator of a young team.
Graduate assistant Kristen Mitchell was doing all the talking in the huddle in that timeout.
Sometimes it's good to hear from someone a little younger, maybe that can kind of come in and give the inspirational. We need to hear something from someone besides the coach, who's probably saying the same thing over and over at this point.
And had Kristen not had some injuries, she would still be playing at some point in time. Here's the Pilots trying to pick one off the shoot tops. It was Mackenzie Williams, and then she mishit it. And now the Pilots on the ropes here, trailing 22-15, a 7-point deficit, the largest of the evening for the home team. Once again, it'll be Novotny to serve. Beaver over to the near side, redirected and kept nicely alive by Bell and Hill. It's now 23-15.
I hate to say it, but right now Bethel's body language is showing me a little bit of defeat.
Yep,
and
6 unanswered points because of it.
Yep, that's got to change.
As Novotny again to serve. Downs with the pass over here to Kintz. Now Hart goes cross court. Kept alive nicely by Mayer. Setting up the big hit. This one goes off the Pilots. It's now 24-15. One of the things I talk about doing college basketball for the last 20-plus years is body language. I'm a big proponent of seeing those kind of things. Coach Gardner and I talk about it all the time.
Yep.
And I would totally agree with you. And here's a mishit by Peyton Hart. And the Lancers win this one running away. Looking back on this one, you look back on that potential scoring mistake in there, that would have been a tie game at 15-15. That wasn't the case. It was 15-13, and since that point in time, the Lancers win this one going away 25-15. So 2-0 in favor of the Lancers through the first two. And now they are playing with all the momentum, and we'll see if they can continue that right after the timeout. Live from Bethel, Grace 2, Pilots nothing, here on the Regional Radio Sports Network.
When your child's in the hospital, the last thing you want to do is to leave their bedside.
If we had to leave the hospital at any time, it would have drove us nuts.
The family room was definitely a blessing for us. We needed to be close to our daughter, and it gave us exactly what we needed at that time.
Make a difference in the life of a family when they need it most. Give to the Ronald McDonald House at Memorial Children's Hospital in South Bend. Donate to our new house at loveshinethrough.org.
They were outnumbered, out-equipped. They had no chance of winning, but they had one huge advantage: General George Washington.
The fate of unborn millions will now depend, under God, on the courage and conduct of this army. We have to resolve to conquer or die.
Just as the leadership of one man helped form a nation, today leadership can transform the world. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at Values.com.
They came from every corner of the country, from small towns and big cities. But they all shared one thing in common. They belonged to a family called Marines, a tough and determined few dedicated to protecting everything we hold sacred. And still, they come. Celebrate the history of those proud few who have earned the title Marine.
Welcome back here on Regional Radio Sports. Paul Condry along with Sarah McFarland Hendricks. Also, JP Jobert running the shows tonight. All right, Pilots find themselves in a huge hole. Lost game 1, 25-23. Lost game 2, 25-15. Sarah, you've got the stats here, and the stats do not lie, do they?
No, and a big difference in this one. Grace had 12 kills, Bethel only with 9. 5 errors for Bethel, 2 for Grace. That's another big one. Grace hit 483.
Whoa.
That's huge. You got the middle hitting 800, and outside hitting 1,000. I mean, that's just huge, whereas Bethel's only hitting 133. And I see the coaches for Bethel right now, they're down there just trying to find a spark. And that's such a hard thing as a coach, because that's something you just, you can't, I don't want to say you can't teach it, because you can, but when you're on the court out there as a coach, someone's got to step up. You can't do that part for them, and that is a very, very frustrating thing to do. And this group, it just seems that when they're playing well, they're up, their energy level's up, and then when they're not, instead of kind of coming together as a team, working together as a team, they kind of all suck into themselves a little bit, and that just isn't a good dynamic when you're really trying to win a game like this.
Especially when you got two young ladies down there who have won everything that they've touched in volleyball has been great, and obviously Lisa DeJesus and, of course, Katie Weiss, tremendous athletes and volleyball players during their playing time, and outstanding coaches as well. But once again, the student athlete has got to dig deep within themselves and get them out of that situation. So the Lancers will be on the right side of your screen, once again decked out in the red jerseys, white numbers trimmed in black. Bethel will be on the left side of your screen. Pilots played much better on the left side. That first game was a really close affair, 25-23, before the Lancers were able to pull that one out. And once again, keep in mind the Pilots ran off to a 3-0 start in that second game, only to lose 25-15 as the Grace Lancers will start things out. Here is Madison Beaver attacking the net, and she swings and misses, and Grace for the first time.
We're seeing a bit of a change here. They've moved number 2 into the setting position, so Beaver's going to do some hitting. So we'll see if they're going to run a 6-2 or if they're going to have a new setter in the whole way around.
Here's the serve. Played by Downs, now to Kintz. Kintz over here to Beaver. And they're going to say in the net on the Pilots, and it'll be 2-0 Lancers. It's not been Madison's Beaver's best game that we've seen her play.
Yeah, she's struggling.
And Grace Irwin again to serve for the Lancers. This one is an error. The Pilots will take all the free stuff they can get.
And I think right now what Bethel's also trying to do is just get another hitter going, where they're not seeing a ton of success out of any one hitter right now, and so they're trying to find another spark that can put the ball down.
Hart with the serve. This one, they're going to say was in the net, the Lancers, and now the Pilots have tied it up here at 2-2. That is the first service error of the evening for Katie Van Hofwagen's squad, and it comes here in the third game. Peyton Hart with a running jump serve. Played on the far side by Grace Irwin. This one hammered home on the far side by Gabby Harrington, the 5'10 junior from the volleyball capital of Indiana, as many people say, down in near the Muncie area. That makes it 3-2. I know Sarah's going to argue that point.
I don't know.
Many people will say that LaPorte, that Dunes area, many people feel like that's one of the best clubs of all time. And here's Arnold and Beaver scoring there. That ties things up at 3-3. Well, seriously, now that you've been out, and who has the best club area in the state, and who has the best high school?
Obviously it's always tough competition down south. If if you're a high school team in Indiana, you got to go down south to play the Indy teams if you really want to compete in the state championship. Hate to say that, but
okay. Here's Maddie Beaver keeping one alive for the Pilots. This one played nicely by Grosdorf. Far side McDonald scores, and the Pilots have a 4-3 lead.
They're kind of running a back and forth right now with Bethel. Sometimes Beaver setting, sometimes the other one setting. So you never know if it's going to be Kennedy or if it's going to be Beaver who's coming in to set.
Hannah Marie Dell was on that last serve, and this one just pounded home. My, oh my. Gabby Harrington on back-to-back plays. She's got over 100 kills on the season to go along with 37 digs. It's now 4-4 on the tie. As Emily Sharp, once again, who grew up here locally, went to Marion High. Downs over here to the near side, McDonald. This one kept alive by Bridget. On the redirect, it's Beaver, and she taps it with the right hand. This one is going to go into the crowd, and the Pilots have a 5-4 lead. Rotation here. Coming out of the game now will be Kennedy Kintz. Back in will be Kelsey Vittima, a 5'10 freshman from Schoolcraft, Michigan. And Madison Beaver, a Pennsylvania native, on the serve. Here's one hammered home. What a play. My, oh my, when Jaden Block gets the time to set up, she is dynamic. 5-5 tie.
And Bethel has made a little bit of an adjustment there. It looks like they're running more of that straight-up defense I talked about earlier and letting the girls stay where they are and trying to make an adjustment to the ball.
Hart on that return serve. This one punched forward, and on the redirect by Kelsey Grosdorf, she scores the point, handcuffed her opponent. And now checking back into the game will be Rachel Vendel from Valparaiso Viking. Will be on the far corner to serve this one. Serves it with that right hand. Tries to go down that far sideline. They'll come back here. This one ricochets off the hand of Beaver. And just like that, we're tied at 6-6. So we've been tied at 3, 4, 5, and 6. We've seen this movie before.
Yeah,
just like game one.
And they're similar to what Katie was talking about. We're struggling defensively. The block's starting to struggle. The defense is starting to struggle.
Well, what a nice play by the Pilots to keep that alive. There's a pass over to the right side. Beaver, Downs, the far side. Hart will try to finish. Oh, nice job by the Lancers. Irwin to keep it alive. Longest rally of the entire match thus far. This one scored for the Pilots. That'll give them some confidence as the Pilots have a 7-6 lead on the longest rally of the evening.
And I think you're saying, the correct word, which is confidence. I'm not seeing that confidence out on the court from the Pilots right now.
Downs angles one over here to the near side. This one right through the hands of Beaver. Diving play by Downs. Vendel sends it back. And the Lancers on the quick hook from Alexa Hill. She scores, and we're tied at 7-7.
I love when setters do that. That's the hardest ball when you are a blocker and you've got a setter that can be dynamic. It looks like she's going to go up and set the ball, and then she just takes it over with her left hand.
And once again, the Lancers with the serve. Alexa Hill. This one redirected over.
Oh.
And the Pilots get a break there. They'll take the freebie. 8-7.
Any coach who's been a player will cringe when that ball happens.
Now checking in will be Kennedy Kintz. Lancers coming off back-to-back appearances at the NCCAA Nationals, 2 straight 20-win seasons. And certainly with a young group looking good right now. Arnold and Beaver form a nice wall to give the Pilots a 9-7 lead as that ball falls into the far portion of the court here along the end line. That gives Kintz an opportunity to serve. And she serves an error. 9-8. And now to serve will be Grace Irwin. Irwin from stationary right-handed serve.
Oh.
And that's going to be an ace.
That's just a hard ball. Happens about once or twice a game maybe, and
that's the first ace of the night right there in game 3. Here's the serve. Vendel on the back line for either squad. Here's Arnold going cross court with the kill.
And that might be one of Arnold's first kills. Let's see. Yeah, she's had one tonight. So
number 2.
Number 2, yep. And that's a big thing because she can put the ball away. So
here's Hart going deep. This one hammered home once again on that far sideline is Gabby Harrington. Harrington, the junior, ties it up at 10-all.
And as a blocker, you'll see players pointing out girls on the other side. And the reason they're doing that is to let the other players know where the setter is. On that ball, the McDonald jumped with the setter's back row. So she's not going to be able to put the ball away.
One thing about it, you can really tell the Lancers from our vantage point. This one is held by McDonald. Very, very talkative out there.
Yes, yep, and you got to be. The communication is one of the most important things to have out there on the floor. You got to know where your setter is at all times. Is she going to be attacking the ball, or should you not jump with her because she's back row? It lets you know what hitters you have to stay true to.
The 7th tie of the third game. This one, nice block by Gruzdoff at the point of attack. Kintz. Beaver alongside Gruzdoff tried to keep it alive and couldn't. And just like that, we're tied at 11. No one looking to pull away here in this one.
This is kind of how it seems to be, though, up until right around this point. So we'll see who's going to pull away now.
And you hit the nail on the head. As you look back at this, it was 9-9 in game number 1.
Yep. I had teams like that. If we only played till 10, we were going to be golden.
So if you go into every game like it's the 5th game.
That's exactly right. Or I had teams before that when you're playing 3 out of 5, if we had played 2 out of 3, the first 2 games we were always great, and then that 3rd game we struggled. So.
A case in point to what you're talking about. In game number 2, it was tied 12-12. Lancers took the lead at 13-12 and never looked back. Mm-hmm. Same situation in the first game. Grace and Bethel were tied 9-9. Lancers took that lead and never looked back. And here we are right now, tied 11-11. Well, actually 12-11 now as the Lancers scored that last point. This will be a pivotal play, believe it or not. Here's Beaver. Kept alive. This one redirected. McDonald slaps it back. Kept alive nicely by Sharp. Downs with a great save. Going over to McDonald. Kept alive nicely by Block. Oh, a nice little soft toss. Kintz is there to save today. Going over to McDonald, and she scores to tie it up 12-12. A nice answer by Bethel. As Maddie Beaver again to serve. Madison from the far corner. Spins one over here. And now the Lancers come back on the attack. Down sends one into the middle of the floor. Over to McDonald. And that'll be a point for the Lancers. They lead at 13-12.
Defense is picking up for Bethel. I like the change that they've made in their defense right now. They're getting more balls up. Now it's less mistakes that have to happen.
Jaden Block, Deer Creek High School in Illinois on the serve. Angles one. Hart over to the far side. This one blocked at the point of attack. Pilots have a difficulty. McDonald tries to save it. Now Novotny was there. This one hammered home. Again, Katie Swanson, the talented freshman. Now for the first time, it's 14-12, and there's that 2-point advantage now. See if the Lancers can build on that. Here's McDonald trying to close it, and she does. A good answer for the Pilots. That makes it 14-13.
She's got a different kind of arm swing, kind of drops down and then comes back around. And as a blocker, that's a hard arm swing to try to watch, because as a blocker, you're taught to see where the arm is going, and that's how you block the ball. And hers is kind of a delayed swing.
Would it be safe to say it's like a pitcher who's a submariner?
Exactly.
Or a sidearm person? Here's
exactly.
Hart trying to go to the far corner, and they're going to say, was it in? It was. Yep. We're tied at 14-all. The 10th tie of the third game. Grace will try to pick up where they left off. Here's one to the deep portion of the court. Coming back the other way, and this one is in on the kill for Katie Swanson. The Lancers 15-14 leaders. And now to serve will be Novotny again. Novotny from the right side. And a battle of number fours, as it was Vendel on that last play. Oh, a nice little soft toss kept alive by Michaela Bell. Passed it over to the near side. This one around the antenna, I believe.
Yep, that was to the outside of the antenna, so it's an out ball. Those are the type of plays that we're going to see here over the next couple of years get better at, when they're out of system.
And now to serve will be the Pilots. Shouldn't that be 15-all, JP? And there we go. They got it on the, they finally got it right. And the Pilots with a lead at 16-15 on that play. And once again, Bridget Downs on the serve. Here's a pass over here. Nice block Again, Arnold and Hart form a wall over there. Bethel has a 17-15 advantage. This is their biggest lead and only lead late in the game and in the entire match. Here's one going to the back portion of the court. What nice play by Michaela Bell with the kill. That makes it 17-16 in favor of the Pilots. As the Lancers again to put the ball in play. Downs goes over there. Nicely played by Alexa Hill to keep that one alive. Vendel. And couldn't get it to go. And here we're back right where we were just a moment ago. Tied at, again, 17-17. Tie number 12. Which team's going to break here, Sarah?
I don't know. Bethel's definitely playing a better game. The changes that they have made.
Here's a one miss hit by Kelsey Fedema, and 3 unanswered by the visitors from 108. They lead 18-17. Once again, Alexa Hill to serve. The all-cross leagues performer. Oh, just caught one off the tape. Down saves the day. Vendel back the other way. There's a pass to the right side. This one went off a Pilot. And it's now 19-17. 4 unanswered by the Lancers. Katie Weiss, her team, trying to stay alive. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back with more Bethel University Sports live here on the Regional Radio Sports Network right after this.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Today's game on Regional Radio Sports Network is sponsored by First Source Bank. First Source Bank proudly supports Bethel University students, faculty, staff, and alumni with personal banking services. First Source Bank, proud supporter of all Bethel University Athletics. Lancers, after the Bethel timeout, will come out to serve in the person of senior, former Huntington North Viking, Alexa Hill. Downs on the play, passes over the near side. Arnold, nice play, dug off by Novotny. Novotny just did a great job of keeping that ball alive.
Yeah.
Here's Peyton Hart.
Just missed it.
Just missed on the far sideline. It's now 20-17.
We also see the difference here between, one coach using their libero out of middle back and the other coach using their libero out of left back. Just two different theories on putting the libero in a spot. Some would say where more balls are.
Nice diving play again there by Caroline Mayer. And the Lancers smelling blood, 21-17. And so we talked about it. I don't want to be redundant, but here we are again.
Yeah. Yep, here we are.
Alexa Hill again on the serve. High arching serve. Downs plays it off her shoe tops. Here's Arnold with the kill. Getting the Pilots a little closer at 21-18.
And I almost feel like at times these coaches are trying to will some emotion out of their players, begging them, come on. We know we play better. I saw Katie during the timeout doing that. Come on, we got to have some more energy.
Oh, nice play keeping that one alive by Katie Swanson. Here's one. Arnold tries to keep it alive, does so. There's a pass to the far side. Harrington is there. Downs with a pass over here to Hart. Hart played nicely by Novotny along the back line. This one to the back portion of the court. Diving play by Downs. Redirected and kept alive by Harrington. Lancers will come back on the crossover by Bell. This one by Beaver. Just missed the mark on the hook shot. It's now 22-18 visitors. Checking out of the game is Mayer, and back into the game will be Jaden Block. Block, a 5'9" freshman. Katie Weiss is going to take a timeout. And we're going to keep it right here and thank our friends at the Gates Automotive Group who are on with us again this season on Regional Radio Sports for our coverage of high school sports at all three of our venues. And, of course, we're just not too far along the way, less than a month away for the return of college basketball right here at Bethel University. Two new coaches we'll be hanging out with, Doug Porter, the new women's coach at Bethel, and, of course, Steve Draven, former LaPorte standout, the new men's coach. Over on the other opposite side of town, we'll be working with Scott Cooper, the men's coach at IU South Bend, as well as Steve Bruce, the women's coach. And then over at Holy Cross at Notre Dame, the legendary Mike McBride will be getting things going. So we should have some good stuff going over there, JP. And Matt and the guys will be over there at Holy Cross. Mike Fleshman and his crew will be over at IU South Bend for a good portion of those games. So stick around for college basketball as that's coming your way in less than a month. Now the Lancers to serve with a 22-18 lead, leading 2-0 in the match. Here's one across court. Arnold scores the kill. 22-19. As Peyton Hart and that'll be a point for the Pilots. 22-20. Again, Peyton Hart to serve. High arches. Oh, and that one's in the tape. 23-20. Bethel's second service error of the game. And I believe that's her fifth. Over here on the near side, Arnold changes the pace, but it's kept alive by Michaela Bell. And here's one hammered home by Gabby Harrington, and the Lancers with a 24-20 lead, serving for game 3 and a sweep of the Pilots in the match. Head coach Katie Van Hofwagen's squad beat the Pilots 3-0 the last time. Here's Downs keeping it alive over on the right side. They'll go Downs along the back line again. Over here to Arnold. Diving play kept nicely alive by Grace Irwin. This one kept nicely alive by Bell. Boy, the Lancers seem to have all the answers. 24-21. As the Pilots stave off elimination. Hannah Marie Deligan on the service opportunity. Hannah slaps one, angles one back here along the near side. This one deflected around. Dahl passes up here to Beaver. Cross court to McDonald, and she missed the mark. That'll do it. 25-21. The Lancers improve to 10-12 on the season. 6-5 in the Crossroads League. Pilots now have fallen to 7-16 and 2-9 in league play, and they're now here at 2-4 in games here at the Gage Gymnasium. We'll be back with a recap. Once again, 25-23 Grace, 25-15 Grace, 25-21 Grace. We'll be back right after this short timeout on the Regional Radio Sports Network.
Serving Indiana residents since 1985, Centier Bank remains committed to supporting students, schools, and families. Centier Bank is a proud sponsor of the Regional Radio Sports Network Performer of the Week in recognition of outstanding athletes. Visit Centier.com today to view this week's featured athlete. Centier Bank, member FDIC.
Paul Condry along with J.P. Gilbert, Sarah McFarland Hendricks with us here today. Before we go over the stats, let's just kind of go back and break this thing down. If you look at the first game, it's a 25-23 game. We were tied early on the Pilots with two major service errors that really played pivotal roles in this one, especially when you look back on it, 25-23 being the final. But there was one point in time where the Pilots really showed some life. They're down 24-20, and they stave off elimination 3 times. But once again, they dug themselves a hole, which really, when it comes down to it, 2 points, those 2 service errors. In Game 2, we're tied 12-12. There was some scoring issues there. We weren't sure if so-and-so was ahead of this. It was score Spencer. But right here, we are at 16-13, and the Pilots just checked out after the timeout here. And then the Lancers win it going away 25-12. And here we are again now. We're tied for the 12th time in the game, Sarah, at 17 all. We knew that somebody was going to have to make a play. It was the Lancers who made the play, finished it out, and they win 25-21. Once again, opportunities galore for this Pilot team. This is, if I look back on the Indiana Wesleyans and the Mount Vernons of the world and the Marions of the world, this certainly wasn't, I'm not putting Grace into that. They played better against those better teams than they did this team.
Yeah, I'm not sure what quite happened in games 1 and 2. I guess 2 mostly, but I mean they made some great adjustments. Coaches made adjustments in that third game, changed the defense a little bit. They were able to pick up some more balls, but then we had more errors in the hitters. So it's kind of seems like when the hitters are doing what they need to do, the backcourt's not quite getting their job done, and then when the backcourt's getting their job done, the hitters aren't putting the balls away. So it's just all cylinders aren't firing. That's the glimpses of every once in a while someone's starting to come along and then the wheels fall off somewhere else. And then I think also towards the end there, some players started to try to do a little too much. I think Beaver tried to take the game into her hands, took the ball over a little too often. That just wasn't working tonight. There's some nights that ball works great. There's others where they're picking it up every time. Finding the hot hitter, they were able to contain Peyton, I think, tonight. Hart was just not, the normal player I'm used to seeing, and that's what part of their goal was. And if you're looking at the statistics, you had 21 errors for Bethel in that last game on hitting. Now, Grace had 14 of their own, but 21's a big number of errors to have. You're not going to be able to have that many errors plus 4 serving errors and beat a team, like this. Now, that's also saying the score was 21-25. So, even with those errors, they were able to hang with them. So, but when do those errors come? Right at the end, the momentum's finally getting on Bethel's side, and then an error. And I also just, tonight I felt like, and maybe it's just me, and I look at this, and we talked about body language so much. I just didn't see the body language tonight I'm used to from Bethel. And I don't know if that's tired from road games or what's kind of going on. It could have just been an off night for some players. But, I wasn't seeing the fire from some of them that I'm used to. The libero, I was feeling like she was getting frustrated. Hart, I feel, she was getting frustrated. And then, again, you get some players then that just try to do a little too much, and that never seems to work out too well.
Once again, final score 25-23, 25-15, 25-21. Grace wins it, and they sweep away the Pilots and the series this year. Grace, the Grace's next game will be a home match out in Winona Lake against the Goshen College Maple Leafs, and then we'll have them on Regional Radio Sports later on this season at Indiana University South Bend. The Pilots' next match will be on the road at Huntington. Once again, the Lancers improved to 10-12 on the season, 6-5 in the Crossroads League. Bethel drops to 7-16 and 2-9 in league play. For J.P. Jobert, a special thanks to our coaches today, to Katie Van Hofwagen, to Katie Weiss. For Sarah McFarland, I'm Paul Condry, and all of us at Regional Radio Sports will see you tomorrow from the Student Activity Center with more college volleyball right here on the award-winning Regional Radio Sports Network. God bless you all. Semper Fidelis. Good night, everyone.